Hi everyone, it's Nick with Build Up Advisory Group and it's Fast Build Fridays, a web series where we will quickly build what you know about infrastructure design in the nonprofit sector. And today's Fast Build topic is the critical importance of infrastructure in fundraising and development. Now, I've worked with fundraising and development teams for many years. I have been counsel within a fundraising nonprofit organization as well as counsel within philanthropies that were making determinations and decisions on funding requests. And I can tell you that the strength of your infrastructure will make or break your fundraising and development efforts. And I'll give you 3 reasons as to why that is. I have my notes in front of me so that I can stay on target and stay on track because you know I can talk about this for a very long time. But here are the 3 reasons. The first is that if you don't have a strong infrastructure, you will not be organized enough to consistently produce the results for which you're seeking funding. Now, I'm not saying that you will never produce good results. You likely will. But what I am saying is that at some point, sooner rather than later, that weak infrastructure will impact how you sustainably and consistently show up for the communities that you serve. So taking the time to understand the kind of infrastructure and capacity you need to build to support your programmatic work, such as looking at your governance, your board composition, your internal capacity to support the programmatic work that you need to do, or even looking at how you're structured externally. Those things are important and they will really impact your fundraising asks and eventually the sustainable outcomes that you can contribute to. Second, infrastructure will inform the vocabulary of your development team. So when your development team has conversations with funders, they will be able to talk about your infrastructure needs, your organizational needs, as well as the programmatic needs that your organization has. And what does this all lead to? It leads to them telling the full story of your organization. And at the end of the day, it's about that story. It's about your ability to tell a story that talks about all of the organization's strengths as well as where it might have needs, including in its infrastructure. And so when you provide this kind of story, I think what it does is it allows funders to realize I'm going to invest in an organization in order to support this particular community or arrive at a particular outcome. I'm not just going to provide funding for a particular program or project, for example. So it takes them out of that mindset, and it can actually take your organization out of that mindset if it's there. The third reason is the numbers. Knowing the kind of infrastructure you need to build in order to support your programmatic work will allow you to create a budget that's realistic. And what does that mean? You're not just making programmatic asks. You are able to take a step back and look at the infrastructure that your organization needs. And when you're able to do that, you arrive at true cost. That's number 1. And number 2, you start to really drive home the point that the support that's actually needed, the investment that's needed in an organization is general support, not just project or programmatic support. But even if you are making those asks, when you include infrastructure within those asks, you're asking for real costs, the real cost of running an organization, the real cost of running a project or a program, for example. And so it can only strengthen your fundraising ask because it will allow you to create a budget that is realistic and supportive of the work that you have to do. So at the end of the day, knowing your infrastructure will allow you to have just better funding conversations about the kind of investment needed to produce sustainable outcomes. And that's our fast build. If you have incorporated infrastructure into your fundraising and development efforts, or you've seen it done well, I'd love to hear from you and about your experience in the comments below. Thanks so much for watching. Have a wonderful weekend and keep building bravely.